I'm not gay.
But if you just believe, there's nowhere we can fall.
When you hear the name Michael Jackson, the image that immediately comes to mind is usually that of a legend, the king of pop, an extraordinary performer, and a global music icon. His music has been heard across generations, his signature moves imitated around the world, and his influence remains palpable to this day.
Will the real Michael Jackson please stand forward?
But the bigger the star, the more stories tend to follow, including the ones that aren't quite so glamorous. Behind the massive stages and the glare of the spotlight, Michael Jackson's life was fraught with rumors that continually surfaced over the years. From his drastic physical changes and a lifestyle deemed unconventional, to far more serious allegations that turned his name into a subject of fierce global debate. Even after his passing, these stories never truly faded away. Instead, they continue to be re-examined, told and retold in countless different versions. What's fascinating, or perhaps bewildering, is how a single story can splinter into so many variations. Some believe them wholeheartedly, some are skeptical, and others dismiss it all as mere media sensationalism. On one hand, many see Michael Jackson as a misunderstood genius. Yet, on the other, there are those who question aspects of his life that seem simply too bizarre to ignore. Especially living in an era where information spreads at lightning speed, often without a clear source. Old tales can be resurrected, spiced up a bit, and presented as brand new facts. Ultimately, many people know Michael Jackson not just for his art, but through a lens of rumors that aren't necessarily rooted in truth. And maybe, without even realizing it, we ourselves have bought into one of those narratives, whether from the media, conversations with friends, or a passing video clip on our timeline. But the question remains, how much of all this can actually be substantiated? Because beneath the layers of controversy, there is always a compelling thread to unravel. Is this truly a complete portrait of the man, or just fragmented stories we've pieced together ourselves? When we talk about Michael Jackson in his prime, he existed on a level that was practically unreachable for anyone else. He wasn't just popular, he dominated. His music wasn't just a collection of hits, it became a pillar of global culture. Music videos like Thriller and Billie Jean weren't mere entertainment, they revolutionized the standards of the music industry. Even the way people consume music shifted because of his presence. During that era, almost everything he did managed to capture the world's attention. From his fashion choices and the iconic moonwalk to stage performances that were consistently spectacular, everything felt like something that had never been seen before. He became the symbol of the perfect entertainer. And when someone reaches that pinnacle, the public begins to view them not just as a human being, but as a figure who must be perpetually extraordinary. But that is exactly where the pressure begins to mount. The higher the expectations, the smaller the room to appear normal. Things that would be considered entirely ordinary for anyone else, when done by Michael Jackson, were instantly deemed bizarre.
Do you sometimes regret being so utterly famous?
No, sometime, only sometime. Sometimes I want to sneak into places and not have any hoopla or, and it doesn't work all the time because people start and they crowd around. And
a minor change became a major talking point. His expressions, life choices, and even the way he interacted with others were scrutinized to an extreme degree. Slowly, the public's focus began to shift. It was no longer about his art or his achievements, but rather his personal life, which felt increasingly guarded and difficult to decipher. Many began to wonder, who exactly is the real Michael Jackson behind all of this? That question then opened the floodgates for various assumptions, and that is where the rumors began to fester. The media, of course, played a massive role in accelerating this shift. As coverage of him grew more intense, not all the information circulating was entirely accurate. Stories were exaggerated, quotes were taken out of context, and narratives were literally manufactured to grab public attention. Consequently, the image that formed was a hybrid of fact and interpretation. To complicate matters further, the situation grew even more complex given that Michael Jackson himself was known to be an intensely private individual. Let's delve into one of the most frequently discussed topics surrounding Michael Jackson: his dramatic physical transformation over the years. If you look at early photos from the Jackson 5 era, Michael possessed his distinctively dark complexion, but over the following years, his appearance changed significantly. Most notably, his skin tone became visibly lighter, and this is where the intense speculation began. Many immediately assumed he was intentionally bleaching his skin, driven by a lack of pride in his heritage. This rumor spread like wildfire and persisted for decades. In fact, it's still debated today.
I'm a black American. I'm proud to be a black American. I am proud of my race. I am proud of who I am. I have a lot of pride in who I am and dignity. That's like you wanting an Oriental person to play you as a child. Does that make sense? No. So please, people, stop believing.
Yet, there was a documented medical explanation that had already been provided. Michael Jackson suffered from vitiligo. This is a condition that causes the loss of skin pigmentation, resulting in lighter patches appearing across various parts of the body. Herein lies the issue. Vitiligo doesn't lighten the skin evenly, leaving a blotchy, inconsistent appearance. For a public figure constantly under the scrutiny of camera lenses, this condition was undeniably a massive challenge. Consequently, he utilized specialized makeup and treatments to camouflage the uneven pigmentation and achieve a more uniform look.
This is the situation. I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help. Okay, but when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
Countless stories circulated without any solid medical foundation, some veering into the extreme. Yet, viewed through a medical lens, his physical changes had a highly plausible explanation. What's intriguing is that this physical evolution ultimately became about more than just his health. It fundamentally shifted public perception of him. Once his changing appearance became the focal point, the narratives surrounding Michael Jackson began to spiral into much darker, extreme territory. It was no longer just speculation about his looks. It devolved into theories that sounded entirely absurd. One of the most persistent rumors was the claim of chemical castration, a theory birthed purely because Michael's voice retained its high pitch well into his adulthood.
Can you hear me? Okay.
This rumor grew even wilder when claims emerged from certain circles alleging he was given specific hormone injections during his teenage years. The problem, however, is that these claims were never backed by concrete medical evidence. They stood on a foundation of assumption rather than fact. But as we know, the more sensational and bizarre a story is, the faster it goes viral.
Murray details Michael's final days and his unique use of medications dating back to when Michael was 13, and according to what Murray claims Michael told him, he was given injections to stunt his growth in an effort to maintain his high vocal register.
To Michael's later, Michael's words, he was chemically castrated.
Entering this chapter, the discourse surrounding Michael Jackson shifted towards something far more grave. It was no longer about bizarre rumors, but allegations that truly shook the world. At this juncture, Michael Jackson's name wasn't just tabloid fodder. It had entered the legal arena and ignited fierce global debates. One issue that recently sparked massive outrage was the appearance of his name in documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Many instantly linked him to that controversial network, but if you dig deeper, the mere mention of his name in those documents does not automatically imply involvement in criminal activity. There were witnesses who claimed to have met him, but they also firmly stated that nothing illegal occurred. Yet, the allegations that undoubtedly left the deepest impact were the accusations of child sexual abuse that first surfaced in the 1990s and re-emerged in the early 2000s. The initial case ended in a civil settlement, leaving the public to wonder, did that settlement imply guilt, or was it simply a strategic move to avoid a protracted, agonizing legal battle?
You molested this boy.
Totally false. Before I would hurt a child, I would slit my wrists. I would never hurt a child.
Yes, at this point, one thing becomes abundantly clear. The story of Michael Jackson isn't just about what actually happened, it's about how the public perceived what happened. Ultimately, what keeps his narrative alive today is the relentless collision between fact and public perception, two forces that never seem to perfectly align. On one side, there are facts grounded in clear medical and legal evidence. On the other, there is a sprawling web of stories that exist outside that reality, stories that are endlessly repeated, debated, and even believed without ever being truly verified. And when these two parallel realities coexist, the public is left in an incredibly difficult position, deciding what and who to believe.